So there are actually a lot of situations which have the prisoner's dilemma dynamic. So first I'm going to show you how the pattern of payoffs works. So we have, the two players, A and B. We have two choices. So one is to cooperate, work together. That's like the prisoners remaining silent or the firms choosing a high price. And the other is to defect, to cheat. And that would be like the prisoners confessing or the firms choosing a low price. And then the pattern of payoffs is the best thing is if you defect and the other one cooperates. So this is the best. And it's the worst for the other player. And then if you cooperate and they defect, that's the worst for you. You are a sucker and they have gotten away with it. And then defecting is the third best. Cooperating is the second best. And if you put the payoffs that we used in our prisoner's dilemma, classic story, or the cartel story, you'll see they follow this pattern. If we do a best response here, well, if the player B is going to cooperate, A should defect because best is better than second best. And if B defects, then A should also defect because worst is better than the third is better than the worst. And the same is true for player B. Defection is better on the top, and it's better here. And so we have a Nash equilibrium, which is defect, defect. And that leads to a worse outcome for both than the alternative strategies, which is to both cooperate. So this is a really abstract prisoner's dilemma. I mean, this is, fill in the numbers to follow this pattern and you'll have a prisoner's dilemma. And if they don't follow this pattern exactly, it won't be one. So there are a lot of different ways to define this cooperation and defection. So for example, between two firms, they can choose how much money to spend on advertising. Okay, so if they both advertise, well, they're going to spend money and maybe not change their market share that much. If they both refrain from advertising, then they would save money and things would be stable. The thing is, if the other firm is not going to advertise, that's the best time for you to advertise because you'll have the public's attention to yourself. And, so you want to advertise when they don't because that will give you an advantage. And you want to advertise when they are advertising so you can keep up because you don't want to be the one who's not in the picture while the other one is advertising. So they tend to be all the time advertising. And the cigarette companies, years ago, decades ago, they were prohibited from advertising on television. So really the way to sort of solve these situations and make everybody go into that cooperate choice is this phrase that I learned long ago, which is called mutual coercion, mutually agreed upon. So it's in everybody's advantage because they all want to get that higher payoff there. But there has to be some mechanism to force people to go there or else they're going to just defect. And for the cigarette companies, the Federal Trade Commission prevented them from advertising on TV, so they all knew that they weren't going to and nobody else was going to, and it wasn't going to hurt their competitive advantage. And their profits went up. They all saved a huge amount of money by not having to buy advertising time and create ads. So that's another way in which firms and oligopoly market are kind of locked into a prisoner's dilemma when it comes to advertising. Developing new products is another choice that they have. They can go after new ideas or not. They can just stick with what they have. If they both do that, that's fine. They're just churning along as usual and splitting the market. If they both create new things, well, that takes a lot of effort. The thing is, you always want to be innovating, and you've got new stuff, new exciting things, and the other person doesn't. Or if they're innovating, then you need to keep up. We see this kind of thing with food companies like McDonald's and Burger King are an oligopoly. I mean, there's some other smaller firms in the market as well, like In-N-Out Burger, Wendy's, smaller chains like that. But McDonald's and Burger King are the big players, and you can see them copy each other's menu items. So McDonald's invented the breakfast sandwich, and then Burger King copied it. McDonald's invented the chicken nuggets, and Burger King copied that. McDonald's tends to be the leader and innovator if you look at their corporate history. McDonald's invented the Happy Meal. Burger King has to keep up. They can't let their competitor have all the new ideas. There are a couple other examples that are outside of business. One is hockey helmets. So when hockey helmets first came in, players didn't want to wear them. They said that it slowed them down and it interfered with their peripheral vision. And so cooperating would be for everyone to wear them, because if everyone wears them, then it's an even playing field and everyone's safer. But the thing is, when the other players were wearing them, then you wanted to not wear it and get an edge. And you didn't want to be the one wearing it and kind of handicapping yourself while your opponent was not wearing it. So it ended up with them not wearing them, and they were all even again, but it was more dangerous. So again, they had that mutual coercion, mutually agreed upon. The league forced them to start doing it, and so they did all switch over. In fact, there was a grandfather clause, so the older players didn't have to, but the younger players had no choice. And so soon enough, it was all the younger players who had come in after that rule, and they were all wearing that. So that was a dilemma that was solved. There are some that are not solved. One is cosmetic surgery. Is another great example. And there's all different kinds of things that people do with teeth whitening and Botox. And, the thing is, it costs money. And, there's always going to be some people better looking than others. So if nobody did it, then everyone would be safer. There have been deaths associated with that stuff. Everyone would be safer, and people would just be what they were. When everybody does it, there's still people better looking than others, and it costs a lot of money, and it is dangerous. So the thing is, if other people are not doing it, that is a great time to do it, because you're going to look really good. And if other people are, getting cosmetic surgery, it's really bad to not get it, because you start to look, by comparison, you're looking worse than before. And so we have more and more and more people who are doing it. It used to be like a Hollywood thing, and now it's really spread into lower income levels and younger people doing it. So that's an example of a prisoner's dilemma in society that has not been solved. And there are other examples too. I'm going to stop there, and we can talk about it in the discussion board, and you can ask questions.